when I say quizzes, you may have come across them before where you are watching, you're on Instagram and you see this paid ad and it's taking a quiz to find out an answer. So it's a type of a marketing strategy that business owners can use. So what I've done now is I'm copywriting for business owners, but I'm also building out a specific type of quiz structure. So we call it, if you're not familiar, it's called a quiz funnel. And that is really how you're going to use a quiz to get people onto your email list and start nurturing them there. So it's really just getting the people who you want to buy from you into your ecosystem so that they can understand what you are about and buy from you down the road.
Hi, Lindsay. Welcome to the Teacher Biz Podcast.
Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you. I think this will be so helpful to my listeners. And let's just start. If you could tell me a little bit about you and your background and what you're doing with your business.
Okay, so I was a teacher for 10 years. I was in mainstream schooling as well as special needs. I was a teacher in South Africa and I also taught in the UK, and then I came back to South Africa. So for a full 10 years, I was a teacher. And round about lockdown, COVID 2020, when all the teachers had to go and try and learn how to teach online, that is when I started to my mindset started to change a bit in the classroom. I think it happened for quite a few teachers. I do live in South Africa, and we have quite a fundamental issues in our teaching departments here. So that's when my brain started to think, am I ready to actually start an online business? Is this something that I want? And it took me about 18 months to actually really pivot and really decide to go for it. And at the end of 2021, that is when I left teaching and I just decided to start my own online business. And I was going to my idea was to create a digital course off the bat. So going and doing a complete digital course in the teaching space. And actually, what happened is I fell in love with the copywriting side of digital courses because if you know, there's a lot of copywriting that goes into digital courses, from the emails, the sales pages, your Instagram. And I fell in love with it. And I actually pivoted again and I got into copywriting.
I love that. I love a few things that you said there that I want to highlight. First, this 18-month time frame between you thinking this might be a path for you and actually leaving the classroom and taking action on it. And I think that's important to highlight because so many people are thinking, I'll make a decision and then I have to do it right away, or that it will be a quick
Exactly.
transition. And I like that you gave yourself some grace there to kind of play with it and have some time to think about it and reflect and then make a decision. And I think that is more often the case where you have this idea and then it kind of sprouts inside of you, it kind of grows, and then you get more onto the path where you want to be and actually take action. So I like that. And this is so true, where you thought you would go in one direction, making a course about teaching, and then along the way in the action came the clarity of, actually, I really like copywriting, which is just so
Absolutely.
cool. So can you tell us, for my listeners who might not be familiar with that term, what copywriting is?
Okay, so copywriting is basically all the words you see in all different types of advertising. So in the digital space, it will be the words you see on Instagram posts. If you see a sponsored advert on Instagram or Facebook, all those words is copywriting. It's the words and marketing. If you drive past a billboard, the words on that billboard is copywriting. Emails that you get, if you sign up for something you love and you start getting emails from that brand, that's the copywriting side of everything. So it's basically the words. You get like the design and all of that, and then the words is what I do.
Yes, and copy is just so important for an online business. So you're, like Lindsay said, your copy is the words that you use to sell things. And it's so different than writing content where you're teaching or you're sharing thoughts or ideas. Um, that is really less strategic writing, where copy is so strategic. And don't worry, everyone listening, I'm going to ask Lindsay for some tips about writing some strong copy in just a few minutes here. So while we have her here, I will pick her brain. As all of the people listening will probably be working on that skill that is so hard to master. But before we get there, I want to hear more about what your business looks like, your business structure, where customers and revenue flows into your business, if you don't mind sharing that with us.
Absolutely. So I've now been copywriting for 2 years, and something that again, slightly pivoting again, because the more I've gotten into copywriting, the more I've learned from some of the best copywriters in the world, the more I'm understanding marketing strategy. And something I'm super passionate about is quizzes and using quizzes in a marketing strategy. So when I say quizzes, you may have come across them before, where you are watching, you're on Instagram and you see this paid ad and it's taking a quiz to find out an answer. So it's a type of a marketing strategy that business owners can use. So what I've done now is I'm copywriting for business owners, but I'm also building out a specific type of quiz structure. So we call it, if you're not familiar, it's called a quiz funnel. And that is really how you're going to use a quiz to get people onto your email list and start nurturing them there. So it's really just getting the people who you want to buy from you into your ecosystem so that they can understand what you are about and buy from you down the road. So what, but to go back, is that I'm copywriting for different clients now. I copyright for a lot of coaches who launch courses. So I do all their copywriting for those launch assets, like their sales pages, their emails, their ads. But then I also build out quizzes to get people onto those coaches' email lists. I hope that makes sense.
I love that. And what a cool way to differentiate yourself in this marketplace where there are so many copywriters, but now you have this specialty that I think many business owners are interested in because quizzes are so hot right now. Like
Yeah.
you said, I'm sure most listeners hearing this have seen those quizzes, the ads online. They're so fun to take because they remind us of when we were teenagers in the magazines and,
Exactly.
what color
Exactly.
dress should you wear today or whatever it is.
Exactly.
They are so fun. It's something that's been on my to-do list for the kindergarten ready side of my business for a while, and I haven't
Yes.
quite gotten there yet, but maybe 2024 is the year. But what a cool way to make yourself stand out and kind of have this unique skill set. I think that is really awesome and also really smart strategy for your copywriting business.
Thank you. It has been. And you know where it came from is that this time last year, when ChatGPT came out, there was this big fear in the copywriting world that our jobs were going to get taken. And they haven't. They really haven't. It's actually made humans more valuable. It's made human copywriters more valuable. But it just sparked something in me where I was just thought, how can I rise above the noise? How can I separate myself from normal copywriters and actually offer something more higher level as well? So with the quizzes that I do, it's a lot of strategy. There's a lot of copywriting, and then there's a lot of like building. So it's a higher level, more niched type of skill. So in the road of my business growth, it's really just me excelling in a specific skill so that I can also charge more as well.
So many things I love there. First, we have to zoom out and catch the lesson that Lindsay just shared with us. it was a time where ChatGPT was getting so big and copywriters might have felt really discouraged. And so I'm sure there were many copywriters who kind of gave up during that time because this thing is coming out. Here's some new competition. And then the thoughts come like, can I keep up with this? My whole job's going to go away. It will all be automated. So easy to have that self-doubt. And then Lindsay had this brilliant decision. I am not going to let ChatGPT get the best of me. Instead, let me figure out a way to utilize my skill set in a higher level way that is not something that can be automated because it really requires a strategic human behind it. So I'm sure people listening are not in that exact same situation. They're not copywriters worried about being outsourced by ChatGPT. But when something does change or get harder, let's use that lesson and think about how can I make
Absolutely.
myself stand out? How can I differentiate this? How can I do it better or different to still make it work? And I just love that lesson there.
Yeah, that's absolutely what it was. Like this time last year, I was thinking, like, do I need to pivot out of copywriting? I'm so glad I didn't because that whole fear mongering that happened last year where copywriters were going to lose their jobs was not true at all, but there was a lot of fear mongering and you can't help it get to you. So I had two options. I could either just leave and just forget about it and or actually see how I can leverage my copywriting and then become more of a strategist as well. Copywriters are strategists, marketing strategists, but how can I niche even further in and leverage my copywriting and offer a service to online business owners who really, really are looking for quizzes?
I love that. I think it's so brilliant. And I also want to highlight this second layer here where Lindsay's talking about how she got into her business. She thought it would go one way, then she fell in love with this skill set. Now her business looks a lot different than it used to look, and she has clients and she's doing copywriting for them. She learned copywriting in the process of building out a business. And I'm always saying to my students that worst case scenario, if you start an online business and it doesn't exactly what you want it to be, you have now built yourself this entire new marketable skill set that you can then use to go out there and make some money. So,
Exactly.
I mean, that's the worst thing that could happen to you is that you build all these new skills that you can use in different ways. So I love that part of your story too.
Thank you.
I wonder where you find your clients, how people learn about you and how you start to work with your clients, especially in the early stages when you didn't have as much word of mouth as you probably have now.
Yeah, absolutely. So how I started, so I'm not very good at Instagram. This is my own Instagram. The thing about what I do is I'm so good at doing it for my clients that I forget about my own. So I'm so good at doing my clients' Instagrams, my clients' emails, and then I forget about my own. So that is something that I'm working on this year, and I have to because I'm launching something very exciting. But how I started in the beginning is I actually got a mentor. It was a copywriting mentor, and instead of teaching me how to copyright, he actually taught me how to pitch first. He said to me, you will learn how we will get you a course to learn copywriting. Don't worry, but get the client first. And it was this weird feeling because I was so ingrained in me that I need to learn the skill first and then I can get a client. And he completely reverse engineered that mindset and he taught me how to pitch. I got a client, and from there I did a quick course on how to learn to do a specific type of copywriting. And it dropped me in the deep end. But from there, I just exploded from there because I learned how to pitch first. And that's the hardest thing, I think, is that outreach and pitching. It feels uncomfortable, especially coming from teaching where you're not used to it. Marketing, pitching, sales, it's so foreign. So he taught me how to do that. And that mentorship was so important in the beginning.
I love that. What a smart idea. It's kind of like that immersive learning. If you want to learn a new language to go to a new country, if you want to learn
Exactly.
this skill, first get a client and force yourself to have to do it.
Exactly.
I love that. Would you have maybe one tip or suggestion for our listeners in pitching someone, um, either for client work or just pitching in general?
Yeah,
Because I know that's something
absolutely.
that kind of gives people butterflies.
Yeah. So the number one thing, it's mindset. You gotta get your mindset right. It took me time. I came from 10 years of teaching where I felt like from 10 years of teaching, my mindset was a little bit trampled on. And it took a lot of my own work and mindset work where I did a lot of manifestation. I did a lot of visualization of what I wanted. I listened to a lot of mindset podcasts. I just tried to flip the script. And it was this feeling of, I think the hardest thing for me was imposter syndrome. And it got the better of me in the beginning of my business, really did. But what I learned is I just learned to move through it. It's not going away. It never does. You just have to learn how to move through it. And that's the number one thing. Work on your mindset. If it takes a couple of months to work on your mindset, just do it first because pitching is going to feel uncomfortable. It doesn't feel great, but you got to do it because that's where the magic is behind that pitching. And then the other thing that I would say is when you pitch, make it personal. Really make it personal. Say something very personal about that person. So if you are pitching for a specific client, let's say copywriting, you found this amazing coach online. She's launching digital products. She's got one-on-one clients. You love her to bits and you really want to work as her copywriter. Say, learn her brand, learn her values. What are the things that she's talking about and mention that in your pitch? Because then you will rise above the pitches that she gets where it's like, hi, can I copyright for you? And that's it. So just make it as personal as possible.
What good advice. I love that. And what channel do you think is the best place to reach out to someone? Would you like cold DM them on Instagram or send an email? What do you think works best?
Yeah. So there's lots of different ways that you can do it. My way that I actually do it is through referrals. I do a lot of back end like networking with other business owners, and through that I've got a lot of my own referrals. It just works for me because I'm quite a social person and I just get involved. But a really great way to do it is also Instagram DMs. You can send them emails. Another thing, if you're looking into copywriting, another good place, a platform is Upwork as well, and you get an opportunity to pitch there as well. So I would say cold emails, cold DMs, and then just networking because, as I said, most of my big opportunities have come through networking.
I think that's a great tip. Networking is so important
Yeah,
in so many things in business, and so much good comes
exactly.
from that. Even in just like helping someone else in their business without really expecting anything back right up front, it always
Exactly.
comes back around, I feel like, in the long run.
Yeah.
So, such a good idea. I didn't want to brush over what you said about mindset, though. I just wanted to follow up
Yes.
on that quick. This is so important. I wasn't even expecting this conversation to go there, but it is just so valuable for everyone listening to hear, especially when you're in that early stage of starting a business or considering starting a business. The mindset is the thing that can stop you in your tracks. I read recently that 80% of business success is mindset, and I fully believe in that. Every big like breakthrough I've had in my business has never been strategy, even though I'm obsessed with strategy. It's always the mindset piece, always.
Absolutely.
And I really love that you shared that. And I think what you said is so true that after teaching for years, however long it is, our mindset feels kind of trampled on. Because no matter what environment we've been teaching in, whether it's the best school or, I mean, I taught in a really inner city, not run well at all kind of a school, but these little micro things happen to us as teachers where our mindset is a little bit broken and we start to accept maybe some level of disrespect or we just doubt our own abilities. And to go from that place to a place where you're going to run a business and rock it, is just, such a stretch. And it is so valuable to put in that work and do the mindset work to get yourself through those times.
Absolutely. And that is exactly what happened to me at the beginning of starting my online business. I didn't know that, and I didn't work on my mindset. And because of that, I created an entire digital course. I launched it, and because I had such bad imposter syndrome, I closed it down. And I look at it now as a marketer, and I look at what I had as a product, and I cannot believe I closed that down. And it was because I just did not believe in myself. I had such bad imposter syndrome. And it was only when I actually started working on my mindset did I actually start seeing the success. And that is my number one advice to anybody. Work on it. It is 100%, 80% of everything. Strategy is important, but 80% of it is mindset, because that is what's going to get you to do the strategy as well. You can have the best strategy in the entire world that could work over and over and make you a billionaire. If you don't have the mindset, it's just going to sit there and not be used.
I love that so much. I'll share with you what I do in my signature program, Teacher Biz Blueprint, where I basically teach teachers how to build out their online business. I know that they need the mindset work, but they don't know that yet. And so I give them the strategies. The whole course is, step by step, all these incredible strategies. But the beginning of every lesson has a mindset session where I help them talk about perfectionism or when things feel hard or whatever themes come up for us in the group. I kind of tailor it to my students, but they don't even know that they needed that. But I do, because man, has the mindset stopped me in my tracks or helped me push through to a new level, depending on where I was and working on it. And so I'm going to give that to them, even if they don't know that they need it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't know. I didn't know I needed it until much later on. And now I work on it every single day. It is such a big part of my growth is my mindset, because you are going to be uncomfortable. And it is just sitting in that space of being uncomfortable and being okay with feeling that way. And that's where you're going to win.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That was just
Pleasure.
like an extra bonus thing in this conversation that I wasn't even expecting. So I love that we went there. Let's now talk a little bit more about copy. And I
Yeah.
wonder if you have a few strategies that you could teach to my listeners about writing some strong copy. And maybe first, let's tell them where in a typical online business they should be using copy.
Okay. Right. So the amazing thing now is you do have ChatGPT, and I leverage it all the time. I love it so much. It makes everything faster, but don't let it take over everything. You need that human input in. I think most people have heard that before, is use it, but don't let it take over, and bring in your personality where you can. The nice thing about ChatGPT, it's going to give you great ideas on what to use and then bring in that input. So with copywriting, it used to, back in the day, you could write anything that was very persuasive, and you probably would get somebody to convert to buy or convert to be on your email list. But people are way more savvier now, and they've also been burnt by online business owners before through copywriting and persuasion. So a lot of people struggle to trust these days. So my advice to you is to really learn to nurture. There are going to be times where you need to use copywriting to sell, but there's going to be times to use copywriting to nurture. So if you get somebody on your email list, you want to nurture them before you sell anything to them. You want to give them some type of free content that is so valuable, something that's going to solve a mini pain point and really allows them to trust you And then through the emails, like 3 to 4, even 5 emails, you really want to nurture them. Talk about your brand values, your own values, so that they can resonate with you. And then there will be a time and place to sell. So the biggest mistake people make with copywriting is, oh, copywriting, you have to sell off the bat. No, nurture first, then you can sell. And as I said, there will be times like if you do a launch and you're doing a full week launch of some type of product that you have, yes, you're going to sell hard then. But before that, nurture your audience.
I love that. That is so smart. And where do you think story plays into this nurture piece? Would you be telling
Oh,
stories in
yeah.
there?
Absolutely. So storytelling is so important as part of your copywriting strategy. So you can storytell everywhere. You can storytell even when you're selling in your launch. People remember stories more than they're going to actually remember anything else. There's some amazing statistic. I can't actually remember it now, but there's a crazy statistic that people remember a story more than, you know, normal words on a page. So you need to use storytelling. So tell your story. Tell if you've got clients and you've got, stories of clients, tell their story. People want to listen to your story because those who are going to buy your products, your ideal client, are going to resonate with those stories. So you will want to use storytelling on your Instagram, Facebook, or wherever you are, whichever social media you're using, TikTok, and then also in your emails.
I love that. That is my favorite copywriting move in
Yeah,
my own business is just to tell the stories of my customers because it doesn't even really feel
absolutely.
like selling at that point.
Yeah,
And it's so easy to let the customer kind of shine and just put the focus on them. Plus, those people reading will then relate to those customers more. So that's my go-to move.
abs absolutely. And in the beginning of your business, you might feel a bit overwhelmed because oh my gosh, I don't have testimonials. I don't have client case studies. I don't have that. It's okay. They're coming. Don't worry. And when they do come and you have a client success, create it into a case study because you're going to be using that on your social medias. You're going to be using it on your email. You're going to use it on a sales page. So don't forget that when you do get a client success, turn it into a case study and collect them. They're not going to come right away. It's something that you have to earn in your business. But if you can collect those case studies, because case studies are huge conversion, create a huge amount of conversion because somebody reading that case study is going to be like, oh my gosh, you did that for that person. I was also in that place. And now they're in this place where I want to be. I need this thing.
I love that. And I love that phrase that you said when you started talking about case studies there. The case studies are coming for you, so don't stress about them
Yeah.
if they're not here yet. I love that.
Yeah.
How do you think sales copy on a sales page is different than in an email or on social media or anything else like that?
Okay, so a sales page, that's high conversion, conversion driven copy. Your sales page, its number one thing that you want it to do is you just need that person on that sales page to click and buy. So a sales page is going to be high conversion, but there's a very specific strategy with sales pages, depending on what you're selling. So there's a flow from a sales page where you do start with a lot of, nurturing still, but in a sales type of way. And as I said, a sales page is the money maker. And copywriters can charge a huge amount for sales pages because they make the money. So the sales page is the big high conversion making the money. It's right at the bottom of your sale, like the person's just about to buy. So you've done a lot of the nurturing already. You've had them on in a workshop or a webinar or a challenge, or they've been on your email list and they're super excited for the product. Your emails also at the time, if you're launching or if you're doing anything around selling, you are going to have sales focus emails, as I've mentioned before, but your emails are out of those sales focused times are going to be more nurturing, more content related. Maybe you're doing some type of workshop here and there. Maybe you have a newsletter that's more nurturing. Your social media, similar, you're going to have some sales focused social media posts around certain whatever you're selling, but you're also going to nurture through storytelling, through case studies as well. So, yeah, sales page, very, very conversion driven focused. You want that person to buy on that page.
I love that. Do you find with maybe a bigger offer that a longer sales page with more copy is better than a shorter page that's more concise and driven for just the button?
Yeah, absolutely. So a long forms, I would always say use a long form sales page where you can, especially if it's a higher priced offer. But even if it isn't, the reason why is because you're going to get somebody who's going to be they're called the eager beavers, where they are waiting for your offer to open, or just waiting for it, and they are going to click buy immediately. Then you're going to have those who are eager and they want to buy, but they will read your sales page word for word. They're going to lull on it. They're going to go back and forth. They know marketing. They know they've got a week or so and to buy this offer or 24 hours, but they're going to read word for word. Now, this is the super important thing because those are the fence sitters as well, and you want to push them over the fence. And they are going to read everything. They're going to read the FAQs on your sales page, and that are what the FAQs does is answers questions that might be in their head, and you're going to squash objections there. They're going to look at everything. So long form is really, really important.
I love that. Thank you for sharing those copy tips with us. One more copy question that's coming to
Yeah.
mind. If someone is looking at a blank screen and they're like, I need to write some copy, maybe they have a few ideas from ChatGPT. That was a great suggestion. And then they're just having a hard time getting started. What would you say to that person?
Okay, so if you're struggling to get started, think about what is the ultimate A to B transformation that you are offering that person reading? Where are they now? Where do they want to be? And you are going to be the bridge to get them there. So how are you going to write these words to persuade them that you're going to get them from where they are now to where they want to be? So that transformation. So you hear a lot of people say you work from pain point to solution. And yes, that's absolutely works, but you got to go deep. You got to think, right, like if they have this certain pain point right now. So let's say it's a teacher who's really struggling in the teaching space. That teacher really wants to start an online business. Think about those deep feelings that they're feeling right now and say them back to them, but with empathy. You don't want them feeling bad about it. You want them to feel like you get it and you're there with them. It's okay to have these feelings, but you got to show a lot of empathy there. And then you want to paint the picture of where you can get them. What does it mean for them to leave teaching and have their own online business? Does it mean more money? Does it mean more freedom? What does it mean? But what's deeper than more money and what's deeper than freedom? What does that look like? More money might mean that they can move into that dream apartment that they want. More freedom means they have more time to spend with their families in the afternoon. So really getting deep on what does it actually mean? And then also a really important thing is to talk back the emotions that your audience are telling you. So if your audience is saying, I'm feeling incredibly frustrated, you need to speak that back to them because that will make them feel like you are listening to them and they will go, oh, you get me. And that's what you want with copywriting. You want your audience to feel, oh my gosh, you get me. Then you've got them.
I love that so much. What gold was packed in there? I think everyone should go back a few minutes and re-listen to that whole segment. So much good stuff in there. Say their own feelings back to them with empathy. I love that. I wrote it down in my notes here. And then give them that feeling of, oh, you get me. I love that so much. We've
Yeah.
heard that, we've heard it so many times, get inside your customer's head and all of these things. But I think you really spelled it out beautifully there. Um, and if anyone is stuck in writing their copy, come back to this episode with your computer up and go through what Lindsay just said there. That is just brilliant. I love it. Let's shift a little bit and talk about these quizzes because I don't want to overlook that too. It's such a cool thing, that a cool skill set that you have that I definitely want to ask you about. So, if someone is listening and they're just getting started with building their email list, maybe they have no list yet, maybe they have, a dozen or 100 subscribers. Would you recommend a quiz to them, or would you save it for when they're a little bit more into um, building their list with maybe a regular PDF style lead magnet?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would suggest with quizzes is I would definitely start your email list and your quiz you want as just kind of your next phase. So if you know you have an offer that sells, and that just means one person's bought it. That's it. That's all the verification you need. If you have something that people want and they've bought it from you, they've given you, exchanged money for it, you know you have a validated offer. From there, then you can start thinking about quizzes because a quiz is it takes a bit longer to create than just a PDF freebie as a lead magnet. So I would suggest quizzes when you are maybe a year into your business and you go looking for something to be like, okay, how am I now going to level up? How am I now going to get better leads on my email list? And that's when you want to use a quiz. Especially if you're launching digital courses, you want to launch first once, at least once before you use quizzes. And it's the same thing if you've heard about you want your course validated before you sell it. It's the same thing because the quiz takes a bit of time to create. You don't want to create it around something that doesn't sell. You need that validation first.
I love that. I think that's perfect advice. And it makes me feel a little bit better because I haven't done a quiz yet, but it's on my to-do list. So, by your definition there, I'm ready for it. I should get to
Yeah,
work. But listeners can save this idea for when they are ready.
yeah.
Um, and then how can we, when we're ready to build out a quiz, how can we be really strategic with it? And why is that important?
Yeah, so it's very important to be strategic because you'll see when you go through and you've got an online business, quizzes look really appealing. When you see another online business owner who has a quiz, often you go, I want that too. And you've heard about them and you've heard about their conversion rate and how good they are and how effective they are. So you want it. But what's super important is the strategy that goes behind it. So you really do have to be strategic about it. And one of the things you're going to do, this might be a bit high level for now, but I'm just going to explain it, is that with a quiz, you actually build it back to front instead of front to back. And that's the biggest mistake people make. So I do have a lot of business owners coming to me and saying, oh my gosh, my quiz is not converting. And my biggest question to them is is your quiz asking a burning question that they really want the answer to? And if they say no, it's not converting because a quiz is going to be successful if it is a burning question and you want that result. So definitely there's a lot of strategy that goes behind it, but it's also quite simple. You just need to know the strategy.
I love that. It's kind of like teaching where we start with what we want our students to learn and then build backwards from there. So I think
Exactly.
teachers will be really good at this whole quiz thing.
So good.
I love
And
that.
another thing that's so great as well is there's such a high demand from business owners who need people to build these quizzes for them. using the software. So there's software that you use, and they don't have the time to do it themselves. They're so busy. They're doing well. They're established. They got the money. So another great place to move into is actually building quizzes for business owners, done for you, service.
I love that. I think, especially when you're getting a business to kind of take off and you're in those early foundational phase of a business, it is a smart idea to think about how can I continue to build out my business? I mean, much as you've done here, how can I continue to build out my business and leverage this skill set on the side to maybe take on some client work or things like that? I love that.
Exactly.
What technology do you recommend to create a quiz?
Okay, so there are different quiz software platforms that you can use. There are quite a few, but the quiz platform that I use is called Interact. If you just Google Interact quizzes, it will come up probably first or second on the search list. I think their website is tryinteract.com. They're just super useful. They are very easy because I build the quizzes for my clients, which means I need to also understand the software behind it and the tech. And they're really, really so nice. They've got a huge support as well. So if I've got a question, they email me within the hour. It's quite user friendly, and it also connects to most of the other softwares that you need. Because with a quiz, you need to connect your quiz to your email software as well. So there's quite a lot of back end stuff that you have to do, and I use Interact. That's my software of choice.
Thank you for that. Always so good to have a recommendation instead of trying to figure it out from scratch.
Yeah. They also have now obviously brought in AI, so you can use AI to generate quizzes now. So that's also super easy.
Fun. I love it. What advice would you have for us writing the results page of a quiz? I feel like that might be
Yeah.
something that kind of intimidates maybe me, maybe others
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
actually creating the quiz.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so when I said you work back to front with a quiz, is when you're actually doing a quiz yourself, you click the link, you see the big question, you're like, that's an amazing, I want to know the answer to that. I want to know what I am. And usually the quiz question is very based on you because people are curious. They also want to know a lot about themselves. So they click the link, they answer a few questions, between 6 and 10 questions, and ta-da, there is their result and the type of personality they are based on the questions. And in the back end of that, what you're actually doing is you segmenting your audience. So usually you can have different number of results, but usually you will have about 4 different results. So according to your audience, how they answer the questions, they're going to land on a different result. And from there, you are going to be able to deliver emails to them that is very specific around that result. And you're going to speak to them on a much deeper level because of how they answered those questions. So the results usually I wouldn't suggest, especially in the beginning. You get quite complicated quizzes out there for big companies, but I wouldn't go past 4 different results. And the way you come up with your results, it's the first thing you actually work on when you create your quiz. You do it in a way where you try and divide your audience into different ways. Have they got 4 different ways that they make decisions? Are they on a, are they in a different part of the path, or have they got different pain points? So you try and think before you make the results, how can you segment your audience into these different categories? And those become your results.
I love that. Such a helpful explanation and really makes me more excited to do a quiz later this year because of this segmenting the audience and then tailoring your messaging from there. That to me feels like gold.
Yeah, absolutely. So for an example, my own quiz, my quiz is what quiz will grow your online business? I mean, it's pretty meta. And then someone will take that quiz, answer 6 questions, very, very simple 6 questions, and I've got 3 different results. You either need a launch quiz, an evergreen quiz, or an ecom biz. Sorry, an ecom quiz. And the launch quiz is for someone who's a digital course creator and live launches. An evergreen is more for coaches, copywriters who really want an evergreen all year round type of quiz. And then ecom is if you have physical products.
That is brilliant that you're using a quiz about quizzes for your quiz clients. I love that so much. This has been such a fun conversation. I want to ask you what advice you would give to someone, probably a teacher like we both were, who's just getting started in online business.
Okay, so if you are still teaching and you're thinking of that online business, don't be hard on yourself if it's taking you longer. I was incredibly impatient and I was very frustrated, but I needed 18 months to get myself to actually say, I'm going to do this. In those 18 months, I wanted to happen the next day. I was so frustrated and impatient, but I had to find that patience because stepping out of teaching was very scary for me. But eventually I was able to do it and I just did it. I'm going to circle back to mindset. Do that. If you're still in teaching and you're thinking of starting an online business, start on your mindset tomorrow. That is something I wish I had done in those 18 months that I was gearing up to quit teaching. I probably would have quit teaching within 6 months rather than 18 months if I worked on my mindset. But I would say, number one, mindset. Get your mindset right because it's not going to make things easier. It's just going to make you have thicker skin. You're going to be better at moving through the mess. You're going to walk away from the perfectionism if something doesn't look perfect and just say to yourself, messy action always wins. You're just going to move forward instead of being a deer in the headlights and going, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I still have those moments, but then you get over it because your mindset wins every time. So that's the number one thing I would say. Start on your mindset. Everything else follows after that. Everything does.
I couldn't agree with that more. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. It is
And
so important. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. And one last thing is that it is messy. It is up, down, this way, this direction. It is so messy. It's not the smooth sailing, perfect up. In the long term, you will look back and you do go up, but it's going to be like this going up, and that's normal. So
I
normalize
completely agree
that.
with you. I always say it's like a loop-de-loop path
Oh,
to success. It's
yeah,
never that beautiful straight line that we're always searching for. And in the beginning, it's
exactly.
very much a straight line where it seems like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden it kind
Yeah.
of takes off.
Yeah, and these big growth spurts that happen where you can't believe what's just happened, and then things normalize again, and then you have another big growth spurt, and you can't believe it. So it's messy, and just get used to messy.
Hmm. Get used to messy. I love that so much. There was so much good advice in this conversation. And this has been so fun to talk with you. Before I let you go, I want to know what you're working on right now that you're excited about, and also let us know where my listeners can find you online.
Okay, absolutely. So my business is called Fem Frontier, FEMFRONTIER. I'm there on Instagram. That's my handle, and it's femfrontier.com. I'm mostly going to be hanging out on Instagram now because that is my 2024 goal. I wasn't very good at Instagram last year because I was building my clients' businesses, but now it's my turn to build my own business. So what's very exciting is I'm actually in the next 90 days, I am launching my own digital course to teach online business owners, female online business owners, how to build their own quiz lead magnet. So that is my digital course. At the moment, I write copy for business owners and I do done for you quiz lead magnets, which done for you means I build it out for the online business owner. They don't really do anything. I have a branding call with them and then I build it out for them. Whereas now I'm going to show business owners how to do it. My done for you services are more expensive. So this is a way to make quizzes more accessible for online business owners who are still maybe a year into their business and they're not really yet established to pay for done for you. And then I'm able to teach more people as well. And I'm a big advocate for females in business. So it's my way of getting females, a marketing strategy that works.
I love that so much. Let's all go follow Lindsay on Instagram and hold her accountable to that 2024 goal. I love that. And thank you so much for coming on. This has been a great conversation. I feel like listeners got so many different things out of this, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Heather. It's been so great to be here.